Hey y'all, great to finally be back and see everyone here on YouTube. I'm going to officially call this podcast, or the series of podcasts I've been doing, Psycosmetology, because I think it's pretty original. So Psycosmetology with Vinny as a title. So nice to meet y'all. I am Vinny. I have been a cosmetologist for quite some time now. I've been a cosmetology educator, and I am currently studying psychology. So I figured I would combine the two things I like, psychology and cosmetology, and combine them into one great, field that's kind of original, if I don't say so myself. And just a quick little reminder, because I know sometimes with cosmetology, you might touch upon, opinionated information like brands and all that. The views and opinions are just my own and my own alone. They do not represent the views and opinions of any other person, group, or organization. So with that being said, any of y'all who want to send some tips, hit that tip button down below, and the tips go to me being able to purchase new mannequins, being able to purchase new camera equipment, being able to keep the streaming service going, because I do this all from the bottom of my own heart, because I truly love and enjoy helping all of y'all out here with learning new skills in cosmetology and answering your questions as well. So let me just type something in for y'all. And when y'all come in here, just comment and say hello. I know that we might have some of our regulars. So I know some of the awesome subscribers that I've met on here. They tend to be up at around this time. I'm just going to put that right there. Also, I have a really good question that I got on a video. And this question, and here's the question. So I figured I would just copy and paste this. And it says, it did it in multiple parts. It says, dude, please provide some Thio relaxer brand names. I can't find any online. I used Rusk anti-curl on my bangs for years, and they discontinued this Thio-based relaxer. Now I can no longer relax my bangs because I can't find Thio relaxers online, and using sodium will break my hair where the demarcation line is between the old and the new growth. And let me just pull up the name for y'all, because this is a really good question, and it happens a lot. For those that aren't aware, there's been a lot of issues in the cosmetology industry. In particular, one of the issues comes down to brands. Unfortunately, because I am a perm specialist and a texture specialist, I have seen firsthand Zotos, one of my favorite brands. It was one of the best and the oldest brands in the industry, essentially take a nosedive. Zotos was bought out several times. I believe Shiseido owned them, and Shiseido is a wonderful company. It's based out of Japan, and they used to make scientific products. They used to make products that actually worked, and you actually would see really great results on your hair. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is, company gets bought out, and the new products either get canceled or they get reformulated. Now, when you see a reformulation, you want to take your pulse. And the one thing that's really heartbreaking is that Zotos made probably like 95% of the perms out there. I've had someone complain about, Joico perms, that they were this and that. And my response to them was, take a look at the package. They look at it and they go, oh, wow. I go, yeah, it's manufactured by Zotos. So Zotos, unfortunately, is essentially no longer. It exists, but it's like a fraction of what it once was. And I hope that we can get it back to where, they had perms for bleached hair. That was a problem, is people were not following the science, following the perm charts, things like that. So the person that asked this question, her name is Audrey G. So I just want to give credit to Audrey G. I'm going to write thank you. If you're watching this, whether it's a replay, thank you for asking a very good question. Okay, so Audrey wants to know about how to find Thio relaxers. And I think that Audrey had a really good point, because you have a line of demarcation. What that means is where you applied the product. Remember this, y'all. Think of your perming chemicals as a relationship, right? Thio and peroxide. It's a work relationship. They don't really get along. When they get together, they fight and they get into a heated debate. That heated debate is exo. It makes its own heat. That's what an exothermic perm is. There is no such thing yet as an exothermic relaxer, because that would get very hot and uncomfortable for the client, and you would risk potentially overprocessing the hair. Now, the reason why I have this brilliant background, there's a method to my madness, is this right here is the pH scale. This should dictate everything that we do as hairdressers. Now, Audrey also brings up the great point about sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide and Thio are mortal enemies. There is a restraining order against Thio and hair relaxers. Hair relaxers are all the way on this end of the spectrum. They are a pH of 14. You take that sodium hydroxide relaxer, which can dissolve flesh and skin, and you put that over hair that's been treated with a Thio, which probably rests between a 9.5 to about a 10.5 in this area, you're going to have some serious breakage, and the hair will just melt off. You'll get a free microbang haircut. You're going to put the product on, you're going to go to comb it, and it's just going to stretch right out. Great to see you. The Bandit says, sup. Not much, man. I'm just chilling and talking about some cool hair stuff. So any, cosmetology questions, throw them at me. So with the Thio works in a different way. Thio, just like a perm, right? Because all it is a perm chemical without the rollers. It unlocks those bonds in the hair, the disulfide bonds, and it allows the hair to be sculpted in any shape that y'all want. Now, this is a problem. Let's say that I have a model and she has, perm rods in her hair, and I have the perm solution on. If I put the perm on that model's hair and I do the curl test, oh yay, she's got wonderful curls. And I take all those rollers out and I go to rinse her hair, she's going to have straight hair that's been chemically broken down. Because it's Thio, that's what it does. All you do with what do you call it? All you do with a Thio relaxer is you're essentially, I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this. You're essentially unlocking the hair and breaking more bonds than you would in a perm. So for those that are not aware of how this chemical works, it's a perm without the rollers and without all of that. It's just applying the perm chemical in a thicker form. Theoretically, you can also take the liquid perm in a bottle, squirt it on there, and just brush the hair out. I've done that before, and it makes it super straight, silky, and all of that. Now, the other stuff as well with a Thio to remember is your hair is going to be compromised. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but it is more forgiving on the hair, and the hair will look a lot better. Now, in terms of things like, a relaxer, seldom do you see hair that has been relaxed where it is silky and shiny and wonderful. So, Audrey, to answer your other part of the question of where to find these chemicals, let's do a little shopping trip, and I'm going to show you how to use a website because far too many people know how to read chemicals, and myself included at one point. Start thinking about this in terms of chemistry. You want to know what the ingredients are. While you might not be able to get rusk anymore, I'm sure you can find something that is very similar to it. So I'm going to go and look on Sally Beauty Supply, and I'm going to look at different types of products. And the Bandit, no, it's great to see you. I have many different talents, so this is just one of them, aside from like history and all that stuff. So I'm going to look up Thio. Or it should be under hair care, under maybe perms. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so this is Sally Beauty Supply. Thank you. You too. Thank you for your support. I'm going to be doing usually once a week just to help out any students because I taught cosmetology as well. Any students that might have questions, cosmetology, or want to learn more. I also do stuff on like, men's hair care. I know a lot of men now, they want the perm that's coming back. So I'm going to probably do a few demos on those at some point as well. So all of these chemicals right here are Thio. This right here is, for an extra body perm. These are all for curls and waves. Now, I would not recommend taking any of these and just shooting them straight on your bangs, because if you do that, you can potentially run the risk of going blind, and no one wants that. This right here and this right here are no-nos. These are all lye. This right here says it's a no-lye conditioning cream relaxer for gray hair, and that's because typically relaxers that are not for gray hair will turn the gray hair yellow because of just the high pH. So these are all lye-based relaxers. That right there is no lye relaxer. That's a no-no as well. There is one brand on here that Zotos makes. And I believe, you can search by brand. They make it hard to find. And that's the unfortunate part, is that, the bandit, ask it. I'll see if I can answer it on here. I'm also a licensed professional cosmetologist. Could not find that one, so I do apologize. Let me check this one. The bandit, one of the best you'll probably find is U.S. Patriotic Flags, because they make just about anything there. You might also find it at the Crossroads Country Store in Virginia. That's where I used to go to find stuff in my classroom, because I would try to find posters and stuff that was interesting. Thank you. You too. You have a good night. If you ever want to do a permanent mullet, let me know and I can give you all the instructions on it. I have a video coming up on that as well, so it'll be a fun one. So Audrey, you definitely asked a question that actually has me jumping through hoops. And again, this is just some of the drama that our industry has gone through, and this is partially why I am no longer behind the chair. We have lost so much during, the shutdown and all of that. And I obviously I'm not going to get into the whole scope of those few years, because I know it's a highly charged topic. And at least on this account, I try to keep it very mellow and very fun. But one of the downsides was that we saw the price of products go up. There were shortages like we've never seen before. I had a client that it actually took me about 5 months before I could do her hair, because she wanted a specialty perm. She wanted the oval perm. That's what I was specialized in. And all my picks I had before were completely just rotten. They weren't worth it. So I had to get new picks. And you would think that something as small as a perm pick, right? Like, that's not an issue. I probably went through about 10 different stores. I called and I asked before I drove down there, and all of them said, yeah, we're sold out. Oh, we're sold out. Do you have any peach rods? Nope. I had to go on eBay and I had to get vintage perm rod picks that were for like a buck. Same company, just, excess stock and old perm rods, because no one was selling perm rods anymore because of the shortage of material and all that. So it became a pretty scary situation. I think that some of the brands might also be like, Rusk discontinued, but you also had some of the brands that gave up as well. So I'm going to go to saloncentric.com and we're going to go see on there if I can pull something up for you. And I do apologize if it's, just taking a little too long. It's just been a little crazy. So just take a look at this. And this is how, sad it is. Right here is your, finally got it. Right here is your Thio. Now, one thing I want to mention, you have different choices. You have Matrix Opti Smooth. It's a basic relaxer. There is Opti Smooth Normal, Opti Smooth Sensitized, and Opti Smooth Resistant. So let me take a look at this. I'm going to go and click on this. And I'm going to look at ingredients. This right here is part of the problem. All this shows me right here when I look at ingredients is it says Pro Keratin helps reinforce the hair fiber and prevent breakage. Now with an enhanced neutralizer, this system also provides 25% more conditioning. Oh my gosh. Where to begin with this? If you take keratin, which is a protein, and you put it in an acid or alkaline environment, bad things happen. On this side of the pH scale, the acid, if I take the keratin protein, it's just going to melt. It's just going to get squeezed so hard by the acid, it melts. On the flip side, if I take keratin and I put it in an alkaline environment, it's going to blow apart and just explode, shatter. That's what alkali does to the hair and the skin. It starts to melt the skin. So this is why you get false information and why it's very difficult to find what we want. Our industry has gone away from the science. They've gone away from what makes us scientific thinking hairdressers, and we've gone to just mass marketing and teaching BS information, as nice as I can say it. So doesn't matter if there's keratin or not in it. I want to see the ingredients, and I'm not getting the ingredients, unfortunately. So I'm going to look up the description and see if I can find anything else. So it does more of just right here, all different ways of doing this. Now, what you can do, they have the heat straightening method, which is also known as the Japanese straightening method, where you put the Thio on and you use the hot iron and you just kind of burn through the hair. That is not necessarily good if your hair is previously treated. If you're doing it just to kind of smooth your bangs out a little bit, you're going to go the cold process. I always recommend, if you've never used a brand before, look at, kind of, what's in it and all those things. I would say start with just the regular normal one. You don't necessarily have to do sensitized. The nice thing with the Opti Smooth is that it comes in a tube and you can kind of dispense what you need. So this says 2 applications. If you're just using Thio on your bang area, you probably have 4 to 6 applications in there because you don't need that much for retouch. They also include the conditioner and stuff in this, so that is good with this particular brand. And this is a true Thio brand, so it will smell like skunk. So that right there is just one of many different Thio brands that you'll find. One mistake that people make, and I'll show you this. When you're shopping for products, I've had people do this. I think I scrolled down too much. Well, that completely disappeared again. See, this is the problem too. The website just goes like haywire. Okay. I'm gonna look up OptiSmooth. OptiSmooth resistant. Now, resistant is used for maximum straightening. It is used for only the toughest, hard to relax hair. I would not recommend throwing this on there and then letting that sit on there because you might overprocess and get a pile of mush. So this, again, does not give you anything on the ingredients, and that's the problem, but know that it is a true Thio. Now, the other one, I don't know if they have it because I'm going to discontinue this one, but it was from Pravana. I don't think they have it anymore either, which stinks. But Pravana used to have one of the best. It was a Thio-free smoothing system. And instead of Thio, it used a similar chemical, but it was a protein base. So it actually was more hydrating and your hair looks a lot better and feels a lot better with it. So that is just one, potential benefit. Now, I'm also going to try to go through some questions if I haven't gotten back to them on my perm fail video, because that seems to be one of the areas where I tend to get a lot of the, questions with. It was called Perm Fail, how to fry your hair with a perm. All right, so let's see what I got on here. This is going asked by Gabby. So this is a question I get a lot when I am behind the chair or when I was behind the chair. And Gabby asks, so even if someone's hair seems somewhat healthy, would you still recommend giving them a perm? I have naturally dirty blonde hair, but recently I've been bleaching it to give it a platinum color. However, I only get my roots done now because of growth, but I seriously want a perm. Any suggestions? So if you want a perm, my first question would be to you, what are you looking to get from this perm? Are you looking for the body? Are you looking for the wave? Know that when you have bleached hair, the doors on the hair, the cuticle, are more lifted. They're more, risen. And that means the chemical can go in there quicker. So the downside is you have a very small window. You have to really be checking for the correct curl. And this is why when I see videos on YouTube of people perming their own hair, just, people saying, okay, I'm going to perm my own hair and see what happens. Your hair's going to fry off. I've seen people that hair just snaps right off or it just slides right off their head because the blonde hair is so compromised. And by the time the natural hair is all permed and waved, the ends that are bleached are frazzled off. Now, your solution is going to be two things. They don't make it anymore, but if you can find it in the stores, Zotos, it's platinum. It's the Zotos Platinum or Zotos Blonde. It was the off-white box, kind of like this cream color, and it was a specific buffered alkaline perm just for bleached, high-lifted, highlighted hair, or first-time permers. It produces a soft curl, and know that a soft curl, it is not as firm as other hair types, and this is because it really is not possible to get a firm curl when your hair is bleached. You can get soft, semi-defined waves, but you have to remember, this is because the hair has been compromised. So this perm would actually hydrate the hair and it would make the hair a lot better to take. Now, the other thing that might work is a true acid wave, but that takes a while and they're hard to find. Like any brand, I only think of one, and with that brand, you can't even use the unbleached hair. The other option, number two, is to use a Thio-free perm. Now, the American Wave is a great one if you can get your hands on that one. It's really good if you have bleached hair. But remember that with bleached hair, your hair could be ready in 2 or 3 minutes. And I've had someone that by the time I put all the perm solution on, I put the cap on, I waited 3 minutes, I checked, I said, they're ready, and we're rinsing now. The Zotos also makes a Thio-free perm that I think is extremely effective at, bleached and high lifted hair. It helps with the, keeping the integrity of it and all of that. And I'll give you an example of what that looks like. So the American wave is actually a little bit interesting. You know, people pay an arm and a leg for it, but if you can't afford it, don't worry. You can easily get the same effect. In my own opinion, I think it's exactly the same by using the Zotos texture effect. Who do we have on the chat? Anyone who's watched before? Any one of my previous subscribers? And I'll share a picture so everyone can see what that would look like. This is what Zotos would look like. If I can zoom in better, that would be good. And that right there is your option. Now I'm going to see if I can find the perming chart from Zotos. Okay, here's a good example. I'm going to put this link in the chat below so anyone watching can access this and print this out. This is by far one of the best charts that we have. And I actually used to quiz my students on this because, you know, perms are important. I'd give them case studies and say, okay, formulate. So this is what we call the perming spectrum. And what you see up here, and I like the way they do this, is softer curl all the way to a firmer curl and workable curl. So they got all these beautiful colors. At one end, you have the warm and gentle, and this is your true endothermic perm. Remember, endo, you need a dryer. The warm and gentle extra body perm, and it shows you how to use it. You know, water wrap meaning that you wet the hair and you wrap the hair and apply it to damp hair. You don't do like a dry wrap or or lotion wrap. And the cool thing is there's also a comparison chart right here. This gives you a chart of how to compare it to other perms that are out there. So for example, red convector plus alkaline is very similar to this. Even though it claims to be an acid perm, remember that acid perm can still really wreck your hair if you're not careful. So that right there is just a prime example of what to expect. And anyone who wants me to go live again, I can definitely do that. And go over this perm chart. So for bleached hair, you used to have one that was in the Acclaim. They had one for bleached and highlighted. Unfortunately, that is no more, which stinks. These are also acid perms right here, but my own opinion, I think they tend to be a little bit more rough on the hair. I don't know what is in them, but I found that the hair, you know, has a lot of shedding. That's just my own opinion. Again, Design Freedom Acid. I really like this perm because you can do so much with this one. You can use it on tinted hair. You don't need a dryer, but you can also use a dryer to make it, you know, firmer. You can water wrap. You could, you know, do a whole bunch of different things. And this one right here, which is pretty cool, is The Design Freedom Alkaline, I've used this. By the way, this one really stinks. This makes very firm and resistant curls. They're not going anywhere. And if you want the strongest curls, the Feel So Lively, all of these, notice you cannot use on bleached hair. If you do it, the hair will fry to a crisp. Now I have done this perm on hair that was highlighted, but again, I have experience in this field. I kind of know how to prep the hair with things that are not in that box by, really checking and doing all that stuff, but I would not recommend it. Lastly, the texture effects. This is what I was getting to before. This is a Thio-free perm. It uses cysteamine. They have a normal and resistant formula, and they have one that is for all types of color-treated or previously permed hair, which is the blue box. And I believe it's the blue box that you're going to use. This is absolutely wonderful. Or I think I reversed it. Sorry, it's the lady with red hair. That is the one for color-treated hair. So right here, bleached, high lift tinted, and heavy highlighted. As short as 2 to 3 minutes. So that is essentially quickly applying that perm solution, waiting to see that little bend, and you better rinse that hair, otherwise that hair is going to be on the floor. So the bonds are going to break, definitely a lot quicker. And this is comparable to Redken Inner Secret, Tressa Change Agent, and Tressa Hypertexture. So that is your perm right there. And you process this. I also like how they add this too. So it's a cysteamine formula for better protecting the cuticle against damage, well-defined workable curls, easy to maintain air dry styles, and for soft texture and added volume. And it's ideal for clients who are apprehensive of perming due to previous experience of post-perm odor and or damaged hair. So does anyone have any questions on the perms and the brands? If so, let me know. And I also said, because I know this is kind of the first time I'm back, doing these lives. And I know some people might not be, prepared or have gotten the full, oh, hey, here's a heads up. So that I totally understand. And Zotos, I don't know if Quantum has anything left either, because that's another one that they used to have a lot of good stuff, and now it's just been completely belt tightened. Yeah, Quantum has been greatly reduced. All right, y'all. So I'm going to cut it short here. Anyone have any other questions, let me know, and I will be on with more hair videos on this platform. This channel is completely dedicated to hair and all things cosmetology and helping any of y'all with state board. So I hope everyone had a fantastic evening and have a wonderful day, and I will see y'all soon.